what technique do you do to kind of, I mean, I know that you did mention that the messaging is secure. So how exactly, like, more in depth do you secure everything within the ecosystem?
Well, what do you mean by that exactly?
So it's like, so in terms of the messaging, so how is it secure from end to end? And also, yeah, so you were just talking about how, like, like a contract error or bug can lead to a hack. So, like, what kinds of things have you guys done to prevent any types of potential hacks or anything like that?
Yeah, I think like the first thing to do is just like have pretty active smart contract monitoring on each chain. So basically like and set alerts in the smart contracts, right? So basically like this is like basically good DevOps practices, right? So whenever there's any sort of drain or whatever, and set limits basically to these smart contracts. So like whenever there's any issue with some of these applications, like give them the ability to kind of make changes really quickly, like to the application, or like make an update basically, like or like point it to like a new smart contract or something, right? So just being really active and alert on that. So those are like more on the DevOps side. Now, like in terms of like the actual message like being delivered cross chain, uh, like basically the way it works is we have this like this API that essentially um, allows two blockchains to interface with each other. So every node, like every validator in our ecosystem, essentially holds like a light client of each additional blockchain, essentially, right? And so these validators are rotated periodically between like let's say between these different blockchains, and like they have to have like a light client of each of the chains that we support. And essentially over time, they each read like the smart contract that's like collecting like all these messages in the each of these chains, and then they basically aggregate those messages, come into consensus between the validators that are selected, and then send those messages. And then you can also like as an application choose to some extent like how many validators you want to uh, look at your message. So for example, you could like choose a set of five validators. Like I don't know the exact number yet, but it could be like five validators, or it could be like 20, or it could even be like, oh, 20 validators, and then you wait 30 minutes for like a challenge period. So almost like a optimistic proof, right? So like what we want to do is like give the users, like the developers, some level of, I guess, programmability in their security without kind of allowing them to do everything themselves and then like fucking it up basically.
Got it. So there needs to be somewhat of a like centralization, I guess, but not centralized, but like a standard. I guess you have a standard for how things should be developed overall.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to force the developers to choose between a few different